What's going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta. Today you're here with D-Boy, and we are back with you guys with a very interesting video that I've got lots of questions about and finding the time to get into it, and that is getting into premium. So now, because the V format is pretty much done, at least for the competitive scene, lots of people are thinking about playing a little bit of premium. And to get into premium, it's not that easy. It's not like standard or V. There is a lot that you need to do, what you need to understand to be able to get into premium. And one of the things that we will do in this video is I will show you how to get the cards to get into premium and what cards you need. This is of course Spike Brother version. And Spark Brothers is actually a very, very, very good clan to get into premium with. Why? Because it's aggressive, it's diverse, and it does give you the opportunity to learn how other deck work. And what do I mean? Well, pretty much when you get into premium, there are some decks that you could play that doesn't let the opponent play. Like for example, Meikoni as a plan and Gridora as a stride. But you also have cards like Chaos Breaker, which also it intervenes so much with your opponent play that you will not let them play the game. Spike Brothers, on the other hand, is actually a very aggressive clan. So you will play V in the early game, and then you will jump into some of your strides that actually it's more of a V plus deck. That's what we called in the early days of V. So in Spike Brothers in Premium, if you haven't seen the video that I made on the channel, I've explained that there are multiple decks that you could make. And in those decks, you have two ways that you could separate your decks. The first one is the Turbo deck, and the other one is the Aggro deck. In the Aggro deck, you have different versions. And in the Turbo deck, of course, you also have different versions. So these are basically the two decks that you could make. In the Turbo, as I said, there are different ways you could build your deck. You could make it Turbo Hybrid, you could make it Aggro Turbo, you could make it Control Turbo, you could make it Slow Control Turbo. We could take another time to talk about these. I've already made a series of 4 videos that talk about the Turbo deck, and I've also made a series of only one video that talks about the Aggro deck. In the Aggro deck, you will find yourself building the deck as I explained in that video that I could put in the description section for you guys below, that you could build your deck with multiple main grade 3s. Like you could build it with Greedon, so you will have a Greedon Rising Max hybrid deck that will focus on, if you ride first, you will basically ride into your Rising Nova, the V version, and then you will copy the Greedon and the Max to make a very strong Vanguard attack that could attack 2 or 3 times. And in that deck, you will basically focus on that first turn, and then after that, you will move the markers that you have with your Vanguard with like a Dudley Mason B version or another card that will move the markers, and then you move them to the side, and then you will continue on with your aggressive strides like Galley Gabrius. You have another version that plays Bruce. The Bruce version is the one that pretty much rely on Julian to make the combo of Julian and the Instructor, which is your stand trigger to multi-attack, and that's also a very, very, very strong deck. But it's inconsistent as hell. You could also work cards in that deck like the Break Ride, Bad and Dragger, the old version, and that would work. But the one deck that works best, in my personal opinion, is the deck that plays the G Rising Nova. And also, it's the deck that shows the best and the most characteristics of original Spike Brothers. And that deck is the deck that we will be focused on in this video, or in this series of videos. Well, this deck is actually quite strong. It could play old cards like the Star, it could play a lot of cards from V, and pretty much focuses on cards like these, like the Ambush Dexter, the Mega Instructor are the cards that actually put in the work. And with your old G Rising Nova, the deck will be able to get into the first stride, even if your opponent's on grade 2. You make markers, you attack a lot. And with that, you will be able to secure the win, or wait into your second stride and then kill them. So this is the deck that we will be building in this video. Alright, so now we are with the final part of the video where we talked about which cards you need to get to build your aggro deck. And in this video, I will show you a recap, or I will show you a fast forward of how the deck. I will not do a deck profile. I will show you a fast forward of the deck on which cards you need to have in this deck. So firstly, you need a starter from V. That's the most important. And now we will go through the cards. So you have your heal, you have the rising. I will just show you the deck as it is, and from that moment on, you'll be able to see the cards that we talked about throughout the other videos. So how about this deck? How strong is the deck? What matchups does the deck do good against? What matchups does the deck find still very difficult, and what to do about those? Well, for this deck, one of the matchups that will always be a pain in the butt is, of course, the Mega Colony matchup. The Mega Colony matchup, as in Gridora, is just the hard matchup that you have to deal with. But in this deck, the aggressive deck, it's actually quite okay, because you have certain cards that could work around it by calling from the hand. So that's the reason why you'll be good to go. You'll be able to win even against those decks. Chaos Breaker is another interesting and difficult matchup to deal with, but again, you will learn how to deal with that matchup, of course. Alright, so now we have everything put together. Let's go into the grade 3s first, and then come back and show you the grade 2s. So the grade 3s, one of the most important grade 3s, as I explained, is your Deadly Lucifer. Deadly Lucifer you need to play 4 copies of or 3 copies of. That is a card that is important to have in the deck. Another card that is very important to have in the deck is, of course, also your Rising Nova. Your Rising Nova, you need 2 of the V version of him and 2 of the G versions of him. That's it. You need to play 4. You could play 2 on 2. In this deck, you could also play more of the G1 if you want to, because in this deck it's not very necessary to write into this. You only do it for the first 2 marker. But I do like the balance 2 on 2. As I said, the 3 copies of Lucifer is important. They also add the 1 copy of the Skydiver. He could return some of your combo pieces back to your deck, which helps you even throughout that turn, but also he's a good powerhouse. Another card that is also very good to have is the Giant Rising Great Star, one of my favorite cards of the whole game. And this guy is amazing because he could help you to get your Mega Instructor. It's the only grade 3 that could recall something, so that's good. Another card that you get from the Overdress is, of course, this boy. This boy helps you to retire from your opponent's field, and because this deck actually calls grade 3 the easiest, this is the choice that we will go with for the retirements. A Counter Blast and a Soul Blast to retire something from your opponents. Alright, for the grade 2s, we have seen Rona. It's a 4 copy of, as I explained. We have seen Agile 4 back. It's a 3 or a 4 copies, as I explained. We have seen Dudley Davy. It's another 2 or 3 copies of. So again, for Rona, very important. You want to play 6, so 4 and 2. They basically do almost the same thing. And then for the Agile fallback, it's up to you to play 3 or 4. I think, in my opinion, 4 is just overboard. I find 3 good enough, but I came in some situations where I had no 3 were not good enough, and you want to have him in the early game, because if you get him as a grade 2, he could hit your opponent, and when you go to grade 3 you will have him. So I do like the card a lot. And this is just the a wild shot Robert. This is a card that I always like to add the A1 copy of in the deck. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. You could take it out to play anything else, like a Dudley Mason, or one of the important cards you want to have in here is the Jumbo the Stun Gun. While testing this deck again, I felt like he was necessary. Acrobat Verdi, a 4 copy of, I would say, in this deck. Ambush Dexter is, of course, a 4 copy of in this deck. And then the other card that you add could be Reckless Express. It could be anything else from the cards that I showed you, like Gyro Slinger, for an example. Even Wonder Boy is a good card to add in the deck. But Dexter is very important. You need 4. And Verdi is very important. You need 4 because you want to have the right Rising. And Express does help you to get the right combo pieces to the field, which is good. That's why you did play also for Ambush, for Tigers. Cheetahs, Tigers, Agile fullback. Alright, so now we get to the triggers, and as you can see, all the cards that I showed you from the other videos, and right here you see the starter. We've already talked about him. So Running Sniper. For the heals, you want to play the Heal Guardians, the grade 3 heals. Those are important because they are grade 3 that you could stride with, but also in the early game. Mega Instructor, a very important card to have in this deck. You want to play for a copy of. You need to get your hand on these. Liar Lips, the one with the errata, you need to get a 4 copy of. It works very good with Rising. And then for your draw triggers, you could get 3 on one or the other one. That would be even better. I play this one in this deck because I don't want to switch the cards all out, but of course you play the other Centitude because yeah, that one is free in premium, always free in premium. So that's why you play this. If you can't get your hands on the other one, you could always just play a draw PG, or you could play this guy or this card. It's less expensive sometimes, but it does work around cards that say you can guard. For the placing cards in the Guardian Circle, stuff like that, because this is just something that you discard. But again, you don't play this one. In the actual deck profile, I will show you the actual deck. And then for the overtrigger, it's up to you. I think Blue OT fits the deck quite well, but you could also choose to play the Dark State OT. That one would be good as well. But yeah, that's pretty much up to you. The OT, again, we will talk about that in the actual deck profile. And for the Regalia piece, I think the best option to add into this deck is Angel Ladder, because that one plays around decks that could mess with your formation during the opponent turn, like for an example, Kagero, Norkami, Ning Joker. But if you can get your hand on that one, although it got reprinted, you could also just play this, and this is always good in every deck. It doesn't matter. But Angel Ladder would be the better option. And that's actually it. We will talk about the strides in a separate video, because in the stride deck, to build the stride deck, you really need to be smart about how to build your deck first, and then the strides. But the strides that you really need, I would say you have a few cards that you have to add to the deck. For example, for your G guards, you need to have the Lioness. You need to have a 1 guess. You need to have at least a 1 queen. You could get your Cradle Mental ones for your GB8 deck, but they are not really necessary in this deck. You need to have 2 copies of Galley. You need to have a 1 copy of Ace. You need to have at least a 1 copy of the GB8. You need to have 2 copies of Flash Bruce. You need a Messiah, because it's a Messiah. Because Link Joker, and because you want to get the superior shields, see the Guardian Shield. You need to have a Fermios. So these are basically the cards that you want to add to this deck. But again, we will talk about those in the different deck profile, where I could show you more about the deck. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and again, learned something from it. If you have questions, let me know, especially on Facebook. But if you want to ask them on YouTube, I will be more than happy to answer as well. Yeah, that's actually it. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for tuning in our channel. We'll see you in the next video. So till next time.